Thanks be to God.
Thanks be to God. And thank you to all of you for reading so beautifully. That was then. This is now. Can you hear the Spirit moving right now? Inch by inch, row by row, gonna make this garden grow. Can you hear the work that's being done as we speak? Pulling weeds, picking stones. Can you hear her calling us to assist? We are made of the sacred dreams and bones. Feel the need to grow my own, for the time is near at hand. That's what the church is meant to be, friends. It's meant to be a container that can hold God's sacred gifts and share them with a world that sees itself as ordinary. We are meant to be the ones who seek after the Holy Spirit, watching her plant a garden of sacred dreams throughout this mundane world, hidden in the midst of our normal lives. While praising God for the gift of all of it, we are called to find the sacred in our midst, to collect it, to hold it before ourselves, and more importantly, before others, so that all will know none of this is ordinary. It is shot through with the extraordinary. No part of our lives are just normal, because the sacred is hidden in all of it. God's desire for us is so strong that God has said, you don't have to wait until you die to be fully alive. I'm going to pour out the Spirit for you now. In other words, God has said, I will bring heaven to you on earth. The time is near at hand. The world needs to be reminded yet again. God is restoring the sacred to the ordinary. God is bringing God's dream for earth near to us. God is planting miracles so that we are not just caught up in surviving this world, but we are able to fully live in it. So prophesy with me, friends. Prophesy with me to the bones. To the bones of First Congregational Church of Kittery at Kittery Point United Church of Christ. Holy, blessed structure, sacred foundation for a sacred future. You have sheltered God's people in this place for 289 years. You have anchored community to the northern banks of the Piscataqua River. You have housed people for the purpose of love and service to others. You have been the container for countless hopes, dreams, marriages, births, and deaths. You are the container for the sacred lives each of us bring to you. For the last 435 days, you have stood empty to prevent the spread of illness. God made you the keeper of dreams and visions while we isolated and quarantined. And you remained our container for hope. Hope for return. Hope for restoration after this challenging time. You have kept constant vigil throughout this chapter, just as you have witnessed to so many earlier historic moments. Know this day, O sacred foundation, that the Lord your God will breathe life into you again. Your frame will become animated once more. The sacred seeds you contain will sprout yet again, and you will dance into God's sacred dream of an ordinary world. But of course, without a body, bones can't do much of anything. Without the body that is this church, these old historic bones would just be a big empty building. And that would be a sadness for the world. Our staff was reminded just this last week, as one of us was telling the good news about the work of this congregation to a stranger. We were reminded how many people in this world don't know that there is a sacred community for them. I'm reminded nearly every day through the stories I hear, the pains and suffering I witness, the lives I bump into, the people I meet. I'm reminded nearly every day how many people walk through this world convinced they are alone. And the best they can hope for is a life of pain and struggle. I want all of those people to meet this sacred community, to know that there is a circle of friends that is large enough, wide enough, deep enough for you, no matter who you are. A place where you too can experience love and care, because these are people willing to give it. You friends gathered in this Zoom room, gathered on YouTube, gathered by the Spirit, connected across the globe. Let us allow God to renew us once more, so that this body will learn how to live once again in a post-pandemic world. Without any one of you, we are missing the gifts that we need to find the sacred, to hold the sacred, to nurture it, to guard it against a world that would use it up and profit off of it. We need you and your gifts, your life, your story, the dreams and the hopes and the abilities you contain, the visions and dreams that God has entrusted in you. So friends, let's renew ourselves as this church, as this particular container of the sacred, by doing something that we haven't been able to do for the last 15 months. Let's join together and form a circle. Here's what I'm going to ask you to do. In front of your screen, reach out a hand to either side of you. And you may not be able to feel the hands of your neighbors, but we are connected through the Spirit, through love, through commitment. And in this moment, this sacred circle, made up of strangers and neighbors, we will rededicate ourselves to the work of Christ's church. To the body of First Congregational Church of Kittery at Kittery Point, United Church of Christ. a body first formed through the lives of 43 people, 18 men and 25 women, over 300 years ago. A body comprised today of the people in this virtual sanctuary and stretched throughout the seacoast, scattered across the world. A body of diverse gifts and disparate paths. A body of seekers, believers, doubters, and doers. Collectively, we are the sinew and the flesh that God will use to animate the historic dry bones of First Congregational Church. We will witness to how God is nurturing and growing the sacred in the world. We will practice gathering together to renew the sacred in our own lives, to rethink our assumptions about this supposedly ordinary world, to reconcile the mundane with God's extraordinary love. We will gather together once again to rejoice, to demonstrate our joy for others to see. Through our actions, this particular sacred container that we call First Congregational Church, the little church on the corner, it will no longer just stand firm and faithful in one place. It will come to life, animated by the gifts we bring, dancing throughout the seacoast, embracing our wider community, so that people might see something extraordinary in human form. May it be so. Rest your arms.